I mean, why vote for UKIP rather than the Brexit Party if you're that way inclined?
Right. Well, we've been around for 27 years, as you probably know. I'm an old hand at this. The last time I saw you, Adam, I was at the Referendum Party conference with Sir Jimmy Goldsmith in Brighton.
I remember it well.
We were both a bit lighter in weight and we were both a bit younger then. But I've been doing this for a very long time. When we were the Referendum Party, we were a one-issue party, as you know, and it was getting a referendum. When Sir Jimmy Goldsmith died, I joined UKIP, and we have a full range of domestic policies so that after Brexit we can then pick up the slack where the country is concerned. And the one thing that I want to talk today about, which nobody else will talk about, is the EU Defence Union and what has happened to Her Majesty's Armed Forces that has all gone through behind closed doors, not gone through Parliament. At the end of last year, I was asked by the SDI and by the Veterans for Britain to talk about the EU Defence Union and how our armed forces have been subsumed under the EU. Now, this has not been talked about at all. Right. It won't be talked about by the mainstream media. It hasn't been talked about in Parliament.
Just explain what you mean, because, you know, we still have our own armed forces in this country. The European Army has not yet been formed.
It's not the European Army, excuse me, it's the EU Defence Union. It's the whole of the armed forces.
Right.
It's all been agreed. It's all been agreed.
What's been agreed?
It's been agreed that our armed forces go in under the EU flag. We lost the power of the veto under the Lisbon Treaty. And last year, the MPs...
What do you mean by going under the EU flag? I mean,
well,
we've had our forces deployed in Libya, in Syria, all independently, not under the EU flag.
Absolutely.
So what's this you're talking about?
This is now changing. The Council of Ministers have all met, and there has been a total subsuming of all the EU defence forces for every country under one flag, the EU Defence Union. And nobody will talk about this. On behalf of Gerard Batten and UKIP, right, under Sir Richard Dearlove, Lord Guthrie and other people, wrote to all 650 MPs last year in November, and so they cannot say they do not know. It's not gone through Parliament.
Not you, I'm sure, but, you know, one of the arguments against UKIP in this election is that a lot of unsavoury people seem to be associated with it. We've got Tommy Robinson as an advisor, we've got this character, the comedian who makes jokes about raping politicians. I mean, that's not what you stand for, but that's why a lot of people regard UKIP as toxic now.
No, not at all. This is what the mainstream media would have you believe.
Well, it's a fact.
No, it isn't.
It's a fact. Tommy Robinson is an advisor of your leader.
Oh, absolutely. And he's advised on rape gangs.
And this candidate is standing and has refused to retract the jokes that he's made about Jess Phillips.
Can I just say, I should think if anybody's looking at the camera now, they'd probably look at me and say, well, I wouldn't rape her either, referring to me. He said he wouldn't rape.
I hope they wouldn't say anything of the kind.
Can I just say, this is the sort of thing that happens these days. Tommy Robinson has been an advisor on rape gangs. If you look, Adam, a fortnight ago, a man was arrested in Aylesbury on abduction, alleged abduction and rape of underage boys and girls, and he's been remanded in custody. Look, earlier this year in Yorkshire, in 2 separate cases, over 30 men in each case have been arrested on the same alleged charges. They are all out on remand, all out on bail, not inside. Now, Tommy is there to advise on what is happening on rape gangs and what is happening inside prisons.
Do you think it's a good idea to have someone who's been in prison repeatedly advising on law and order issues?
Please don't say anything about that, because we've got people in the House of Lords. We've just got rid of a member of the House of Commons.
But if you disapprove of that, you shouldn't approve of having
Can I just say he's an advisor? He's not sitting making laws of this country.
Okay.
He's an advisor.
Thank you very much indeed. Well,